Hi everyone, I dedicated this video for you who wants to introduce watercolor to young children. There are some equipments that I suggest for you to start with. The quality is good enough and the price is reasonable or even very cheap. And most importantly, your kids will love it. Now let's get started. First of all, we are going to talk about the type of watercolor paper that you can use. Watercolor paper comes with many types. Like this one is hot press watercolor paper. This is 300 grams, 100% cotton and acid free. Obviously, we don't need to buy the high quality or the expensive one, but I think a thick paper is really important. I found this brush set online on Amazon. The price is really cheap, but I think the quality is not too bad. To start with, you really don't need a lot of paint brushes. Especially with children, they just need to learn the different type of brushes and the sizes. This set of 3 paint brushes will be sufficient. This comes with one round brush, one flat brush, and one tiny brush. I will put the detail of the brands and the prices on the description box below. I don't have affiliate links or anything. This is purely just my suggestions and preferences. This is another type of brush. It's called water brush. So this water brush is actually comes with water cartridge that you can fill in with water. So you don't have to dip your brush in the water all the time. It's quite handy if you use it for traveling. But then again, this brush is actually comes with the watercolor paints I bought, which I will show you shortly after this. It is quite comfortable to grip and the brush is really soft. I remember years ago when I was still a student, this is the exact brand that I used to start watercolor. Back then I didn't know that there's actually a professional watercolor brand, so this is the brand that I use. Now I think comparing to any other cheap brands that you can find in a bookshop or office supply, I think this is the best one. The texture is not chalky and the color is bright. I personally prefer the watercolor that come into tubes, which you can open and close and pack away so you don't leave a big mess. If you want to use watercolor pencils, this is the brand that I will go for. You don't need to buy one with so many colors. These 12 colors will do you enough. So the use of watercolor pencil is actually for you to draw sketches and the sketch of the pencil will dissolve in water. So this is actually really fun to use. Just be careful if the children use this because this kind of pencil is really soft, so they tend to break easily. There's a different kind of paint palettes out there. I think these two ones are the best ones and the price are really cheap. One is the plastic one and one is the thin one. You will also need a cup of water and some paper towels. Now with all the equipments ready, the watercolor, the palette, cup of water, paper towel and the brush, let's get started. Brand new paint brush is actually still quite stiff, so I will dip that into water to make it wet and then just leave it out a little bit. To start with watercolor, the very basic things is actually on how to mix the colors. Obviously, there are already some colors options, but I think it will be very interesting for children to learn how to mix colors. First, we're gonna put all this basic color on the palette: red, blue, and yellow. Add some water on each of the paints, and then you can just mix 2 colors or more to see what kind of color will come out after you mix them. This will be very fun for kids to experiment, and you can also show them the different amount of colors. For example, lots of red and a little bit of blue, or lots of red and lots of blue will result on a different colors. It is also important to teach them to always clean the brushes after you use them. If you yourself haven't used watercolor before or you don't know how to mix colors, you can just Google color mixing guide for watercolor and you can easily find the mixing charts that you can use as a reference. In using watercolor, it's also important to learn how much water you need to put into the paint. For example, the more dense paint and the paint with lots of water will have different result. So watercolor are not like any other paints or markers. The color density can be different. It depends how much water you put onto the paints. Some tips that I can give for you. If you have really young children, age 3 to 5, you can start with really basic shapes that they would like. For example, you can draw love shape and then just show them how to use the brush and paint to color in the love shape. At this stage of young age, I think they're most likely to be interested in coloring in. So using watercolor is basically just learn how to use the paint and the brush. You can also show them that different type of brushes will result different kind of brush strokes and they're very fun to try on. You can show them different pressure and different movements of the brush. Again, it is really depends on how old your children are. You will know their ability and what would they be interested in and just play along with it. When I teach my own daughter, she's 2.5 years old. So she just basically like to play with paintbrush and mix different color on the big paper. But when I teach children, for example, age 8 or 9 years old, they're ready to learn more complex method on more complex drawing or paintings as well. Again, if you want these paintbrushes to last for a long time, always remind them to rinse out the brush clean and put it on the paper towel. I will also show you quickly on how to use this brush pen. So when you squeeze, the water will come out, but then you don't really need the cup of water and can just simply use the paint. This will be handy to use if you want to do the paintings while you're traveling or to bring with you when you go outside to the park or have picnic together with your children. If your children love to color in, another tips that I can give you is to draw simple drawing with permanent marker. This way they can just have fun coloring in the objects that you already draw for them. Don't worry too much about your ability to draw. Children will love anything that you will draw for them. The most important thing is you do this together with them and have fun. Although there will be lots of free downloadable drawing that you can find online, either you can copy them if you run out of ideas or you can trace them. Either way, I find that it's very interesting for children to see the process of drawing and they get to be the parts to color in the objects. You can either use the colors that's already ready on the tubes or even better, use the colors that you mixed in before. This will constantly create new colors and very fun to play with. So that is it. That's all the tips I can give you for the watercolor equipments you can start with. Remember, if you're also starting with watercolor and you're a beginner, you can start with these basic equipments before you upgrade to the more expensive and good quality one. These equipments that I just suggest for you are more than good enough for you to start with. Introducing watercolor in very early age will give the children good start in learning art. Most importantly, they will learn as they grow up that watercolor is really relaxing and it could be a downtime for them when they get too busy or too stressed with school and just want something to play around with. Also, another good thing with watercolor is you can keep all the paint on your palette, store it away and use it again later. If you haven't heard about me before, my name is Keishart. I'm a watercolor artist from Australia. Thank you for watching my video today. If you find this video useful, please go to my channel and subscribe or watch more videos. It will definitely give me the support that I need to make more of these tutorial videos for you. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time.